So cancer is a disease, and it's a disease of the cells, and all living organisms are made up of cells. They're the building blocks of everything. So plants, humans, animals, everything is made up of cells, and therefore anyone can get cancer, even animals. And most of the cells in the body are able to divide and produce more cells, and they divide 1 into 2, 2 into 4, and 4 into 8. Cancer occurs when the cells don't stop when they've made enough, so they just keep on multiplying. And that's what causes cancer.
Well, I didn't know that animals could get it. So.
No. Animals, plants, anyone can get. Anything made up of cells can get cancer.
How does cancer spread through the human body?
Okay, so 3 different ways in which the cancer spreads. So first of all, it grows in a part of the body, and that's called the primary cancer. And then it can spread to other areas, and that would be called the secondary cancer. So in order to spread, some cells from the primary cancer site must break away and travel to another part of the body. So first of all, they might break away and go to nearby body tissues, and that would be just a local spread. They might also go through the blood circulation, so that's when cancer cells become detached from the primary cancer. Then they go into the bloodstream and they pass around the body in the bloodstream, and it might get stuck somewhere else, and that would be where the secondary cancer comes in. And then finally, they might go through the lymphatic system. So it's really similar to how it goes through in the blood circulation. And they'll get trapped somewhere, and then they'll start growing a second cancer inside the lymph node. So that's 3 different ways in which it can be caused.
Can I just ask, what's the lymphatic system?
So the lymphatic system is the system in the body that will help fight disease.
What types of cancer are there?
Okay, so there's over 200 different types of cancer in the body. So they all look different, they all act differently, they've all got different characteristics. So in your gut, for example, the cells there will absorb nutrients from our food. The red blood cells will deliver oxygen to our tissues. And so that's why there's so many different types of cells. There's also so many different types of cancer as well.
Oh, I see. How do you treat cancer, and what are the different types of treatment?
Yes, there are lots of different treatments that have been developed over the last 100 or so years. And the main cancer treatments are surgery in the first instance, and then radiotherapy and chemotherapy. But we've also got other treatments, so hormone therapy, bone marrow and stem cell transplants, and also biological therapies. So a patient cancer specialist will advise the best course of treatment for each person, or a combination of treatments, and that's how they'll decide on their treatments.
So how does radiotherapy work?
Radiotherapy uses radiation, usually X-rays, to treat the illness. It destroys the cancer cells in the treated area by damaging the DNA within the cells. So normal cells are also affected by radiation, but they're better at repairing themselves than cancer cells.
And how does chemotherapy work?
So cancer grows as the cancer cells keep dividing and don't stop. Chemotherapy is a drug, and it enters the bloodstream and damages all the dividing cells. So cells in the process of dividing are more at risk of being damaged by chemotherapy. So chemotherapy kills the cancer by damaging the part of the control centre inside each cell that makes the cells divide. So it may interrupt the chemical process involved in cell division. So chemotherapy you can receive in a various number of ways. So you can have an injection into the bloodstream, normally through a vein, or an intravenous drip into the bloodstream, again through a vein, or you can take them as tablets or capsules.
How do you know when you have cancer?
Okay, so if you're feeling unwell, or if you've noticed any significant changes in your body, or how it feels, how it works, then you must speak to a GP. So each different cancer acts differently in different people, and they'll advise you whether you need to see a specialist, whether it's something to worry about, or whether they can conduct cancer tests to see if you've got cancer.
How come some patients die in 10 weeks when others can die in 10 years?
So there's lots of reasons why somebody might survive their cancer diagnosis longer than other people. Each person's different, so each cancer's different. You might have people who have early diagnosis, and that's a real help with being able to treat the cancer more successfully. You've got some cancers that have got a higher success rate at the moment, and you've got people's lifestyle changes, and that all kind of contributes to how they're going to fight cancer, along with the treatments that we've spoken about, and whether they're successful, what their specialists can advise them to have, and they all have different success rates.
What is the worst type of cancer?
Okay, so some cancers have better success rates than others, and two where progress in treatments has been much slower and outcomes are much poorer are esophageal cancer and pancreatic cancer. Esophageal cancer is the cancer that forms in the tube that goes between your throat and your stomach. So only 8% of esophageal cancer patients and 3% of pancreatic cancer patients survive 5 years or more. So they're the cancers that we call cancers of the unmet need. And along with brain and lung cancer, they're the growing focus for our work at Cancer Research UK.
How do you get cancer?
So virtually all cells contain genetic instructions that ask a cell to divide and multiply. So any cell that's got DNA in, so every cell can have mistake in its DNA, and that will cause some mutations for cancer. But one mutation or one defect in a cell is not enough to cause cancer. So you need several mutations in key genes to accumulate in an area before a healthy cell will develop into a cancerous cell. And that's why cancer is more common in older people, because DNA damage gradually accumulates through a person's lifetime. So the longer we live, the more likely we are to develop cancer. So DNA damages occur during the natural cell division process, but it can also be caused by things like carcinogens, so the environmental factors in chemicals such as tobacco and ultraviolet light from the sun. And we reckon also that 1 in 10 cancers also are linked to inheritance of a particular high-risk gene. Mm-hmm. So it means that the faulty gene is passed down from a parent or from both parents, and that will increase their risk of cancer, but it won't necessarily cause cancer.
And my final question is, if someone in the room has cancer, could I catch it?
Okay, so you're not going to catch cancer from being in a room with someone who's got cancer. But there are some viruses that may help cause some cancers. It doesn't mean that these cancers are caught like an infection, like a cough or a cold, but it means that instead, in a small proportion of the cases, certain viruses will cause genetic changes, and that will be more likely to become cancerous. So the human papillomavirus is linked to cervical cancer, and that virus is really common in the general population. And in most occasions, the infection clears up and people are none the wiser that they've had it. But in some people, the virus lingers, and it leads to changes in DNA, and that may cause some people having cervical cancer.
Thank you very much, Chloe, for coming into the station. And thank you for talking to me about cancer.
Thank you very much.